Hello, today we are doing a review for our test which will have our next class period. So, our information that they are providing with us is up here in the top, and then we're going to work through all three forms that we know. Oops, I accidentally forgot to talk about these forms. Hopefully you should know these already. We can start if we have a point and a slope in point-slope form. If we have a slope and an intercept, we could start in this form, or you could use your intercept as a point, 0, comma, b. Remember that. B is where you begin on your y-axis. And then we learned how to convert to standard form, or get x and y on the same side of the equals. So let's start off with this first problem. It says our slope, which is m, is 9, and our y-intercept, which is b, is -2. So we could start with this form if we wanted to. However, they're asking us to work through all three forms. So this b is really 0, comma b, or if you think about a graph, we're beginning at down 2. So that point right there would be 0. We didn't go left or right anything. We were right in the middle there at 0. And we went down 1, 2, -2. So that's our point that we're going to use for x and y. It's our 1 point, so that's 1s. And those are the two pieces of information we need for point-slope form, our point and our slope. So let's write out our equation. Y minus y1, which is really a -2, those two negatives there make a positive, equal to m, and m is 9. And then in parentheses, x minus x1, which is 0. So this is our information there. We'll keep that out of the way. And then we're going to solve for y. So I'm going to draw a box to distribute. Out front we have 9 out front for our teacher. And then on top, x minus 0. So I'm going to multiply 9 times x, they just go together, is 9x. 9 times 0 is just 0. And then on this side we have y plus 2. I'm going to actually rewrite that down below here. Y plus 2 equals, and then whatever's inside my box, 9x plus 0. If you wanted to write minus 0, that's fine. It doesn't matter. 9 times 0 is just 0. It's nothing. So we need y by itself, so the opposite of adding 2 would be subtracting 2. So those eliminate. And we have y equals 9x, and 0 minus 2 is still just a -2. So now we have y by itself, we have slope-intercept form, but we need finally x and y on the same side of the equal. So right now x and y are on opposite sides, so we need to move this x over to the other side to be with the y. You can't just move it over there, you need to add or subtract it. Right now this is a positive, so I'm going to have to do the opposite and subtract 9x. 9 minus 9 is 0 over here. So write your x's first. We have -9x. This is a positive y, so plus y equal to -2. So that's a 9. So here is our answer, -9x plus y, or plus 1y, equals -2. That's now in standard form and would be the best answer. Then, our next equation, slope is m, 4/5, and our point right here is x and y. That's our 1 point we have to plug in. So let's write out our equation in point-slope form. Y minus y1, which is a -1, that makes a positive. Two negatives make a positive, equal to our slope, m, which is 4/5. And then in parentheses here, we have x minus x1, which is a -5. Those two negatives again make a positive. So I'm going to draw my line down to multiply or distribute here. Draw your box. So I have 4/5 out front, and here I have x plus 5. So if I multiply 4/5 times x, it's just 4/5 x still. And then I have 4/5 times 5. You can either plug that in your calculator, as 4 divided by 5 in parentheses times 5, or you can multiply it out. I'm going to multiply it out. 4/5 times 5, well 5 is really 5 over 1. So on the top 4 times 5 is 20, and on the bottom 5 times 1 is 5. 20 divided by 5, however, we can also simplify. 20 divided by 5 is 4, because 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 is what should go in here. We got 4. So let's rewrite what we have. Y plus 1 equals 4/5 x plus 4. And we want to get y by itself. That's our goal next. So the opposite of adding 1 right there would be subtracting 1. So 1 minus 1 goes away. We have y equals 4/5 x. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. This is now in slope-intercept form, but we need to get all the way down here to standard form. We need x and y on the same side. Right now they're on different sides, so I need to move this x over to be with the y. So right now this is a positive 4/5 x, so we need to move it by subtracting or taking it away on both sides. Subtract 4/5 x. So those eliminate. Write your x's first. We have negative 4/5 x plus y plus 1y, if you want to put the 1 there, equals 3. That is our answer in standard form. Let's go ahead and flip over to the back side. It says first, write the equation in slope-intercept form. If you don't know what slope-intercept form is, look at the wall. It should tell you slope-intercept has a slope and an intercept, which we're going to have to get down here to this form, y equals mx plus b. So you can look at the graph here to see what b is, and you can look at the graph to find our slope. However, if you wanted to, you could start with point slope form. So that means I need to find m, and I need to find b. This should be a review. So first, m, our slope, we can count from here to here, rise over run, using our 2 points that we have. So I'm really going down -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down 6 and over 1, 2, 3. So 6 divided by 3, we can simplify that. That will give us a slope really of a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And then b, where do we begin on the y-axis? Well, we begin right there at 4. Now, sometimes you're not always going to be able to see exactly where it crosses, which is when you'll have to start with point slope form. Point slope form, that's what it's called. And solve for y to get this form. But this one we can easily see where it crosses. So our equation would be y equals -2, because that's m, x, plus b, and b is 4. So there's that equation in slope-intercept form, just like they asked. Now it says graph the equation. Here's x, and here's y. Oops, it's not the right one I wanted there. It's a really thick pen. Here's y, and there's x. There we go. But we can't graph this like it is. We need to solve for y. So this is really a negative. This is a -1 really out front. So I'm going to draw a box to multiply or distribute there. So -1, and then we have x minus 1. So a -1 times x is just -1x. Negative times a negative makes a positive. 1 multiplied by 1 is still just 1. We're not adding. So we have y plus 3 equals negative 1x plus 1. And then we need to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 3. So we have y equals negative 1x. If I have 1 of something and I take away 3, I'm now in the negatives. For different signs, subtract 3 minus 1 is 2, and there's more negatives. So here's our equation. If it helps to identify m and b, write those down. M is negative 1, or as a fraction, 1 over 1, and b is a negative 2. So reminder, b tells you where to begin. We're beginning at negative 2, or down 1, 2. And our slope is negative 1, which is down, over 1, which is to the right. So down 1 and to the right, down 1 and to the right, down 1 to the right. Or we could go the opposite, up 1 and to the left, up and left. And then draw yourself a line through. Take a second, pause the video if you need to finish that one up. And then we are going to do this last one. This one is a little bit easier. We don't have to do any distributing. All we need is to get y all by itself. So it's in the form y equals mx plus b, so we can graph it. So all we have to do is move this 2x to the other side. Right now it's a positive, so I'm going to subtract 2x. 2 minus 2 eliminates, goes away. So we have y equals, can't combine them because one has an x and one doesn't, but we want our x term first, so negative 2x and then minus 5. So there's our equation. M is our slope in front of the x, which is negative 2 as a fraction for 1, and b is negative 5. So that tells me we're beginning at down 5 on our y-axis. It's our y-intercept where we're crossing the y-axis. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our slope, m, is negative 2, which is down first, and then positive 1, which is to the right, down and right. So down 1, to the right, down 1, to the right. Or the opposite of down and right would be up 1 and left. Up 1, left. Up 1, left. And then we're going to draw our line through. So those are the majority of our test. We also have 2 last questions. And these 2 questions are multiple choice to help us get ready for our MCA test. You will not be given credit if you don't show any work. So you need to show some work for each of these problems in order for me to give you a good grade on your test. So this first one says, which equation represents the line that passes through this point 0, 8 and this point 2, 0? These are all written in the form y equals mx plus b. So we should probably find m and we should probably find b. So I'm going to find m first using our slope formula, which I'm just going to write down here, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label my point xy, that's point 1, xy, that's point 2. So let's plug in what we know. y2 is 0, minus y1, which is 8. Then on the bottom, x2, which is 2, minus x1, which is 0. So 0 minus 8 is still 8, but it's negative. And 2 minus nothing is just 2. So 8 divided by 2, just read this, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. So we figured out m, so m has to be a negative 4. So this one looks good, and this one looks good. These two are positive, so I know I can cross those out. Those aren't going to be correct answers. And then I need to find b. Where would I begin if I was graphing this? Well, we have 2 points. This one, x is 0. meaning we're not going left and right, we're just going up 8, somewhere around there. And this point, x is 2, 1, 2, and y is 0, somewhere around there. Now, you need to figure out which one is the y-axis, or where would begin on the y-axis. Well, this point begins in the y-axis, which is, reminder, 0, b. We looked for points with a 0 first. The other number is our y-intercept, b. So this one matches 0, b, so b is 8. You can also see that by graphing it. So, looking at these two equations, the one that has a b of 8 would be D. So we use the process of elimination, using our slope to cross out or eliminate two choices. The second one is a little bit easier. It says which equation represents the line with a slope of 5. Okay, I know slope is really the letter m, so m is 5. You could write that in the box to show some work that you know what you're doing. And a y-intercept of 2. Well, I know y-intercepts stand for b, so we begin on our graph beginning at 2. It just so happens that all of these equations are written in the form y equals mx plus b. They're solved for y. So which one matches? This first one says y equals 2x plus 5. They all really have the right numbers. These ones have negatives, so I know it can't be those ones because it has to be plus 2. It's a positive number, so it can't be those ones. Our m here is 5, so it should say 5x, and then plus b, which is 2, which matches C. So you need to show some work for that problem. Alright, you now know how to write and use linear equations in a variety of forms. So don't forget to enter your homework in your notes app. You have 3 questions on the front. You need to use point slope form and solve to get standard form. And then a couple questions on the back, very similar to the ones that we just did on our review. This will help you tremendously for your test.